This is your show about individuals who break boundaries and go beyond the norm to unleash their greatness. Good afternoon, a warm welcome to Bophelong. I am William Molebatsi with you once again to celebrate ordinary Africans with extraordinary tales. Our show today is dedicated to the memory of an iconic South African photographer, Sam Zima, who is well known for his historic shot of a lifeless Hector Peterson during the 1976 Soweto uprising. Sam Zima passed away on Saturday at the Rob Ferreira Hospital in Nelspruit. We celebrate his life and contribution to the apartheid struggle with a documentary we did with him last year to commemorate Youth Month. Have a look.
Sam Zima's image of the shooting of Hector Peterson has epitomized the students' uprising of 16 June 1976. The image inspired generations of young people in the anti-apartheid struggle to take action, even at the expense of sacrificing their lives.
I was assigned to cover the...
But for Sam Zima, the image put him at collision with the apartheid security establishment. The march in June 1976 was not the first action by students in their fight against Bantu education. Students in Soweto schools had for weeks disputed a policy change that would have forced them to study certain subjects such as mathematics through the medium of Afrikaans.
When the police confronted us, the tear gas fumes actually were blowing back their direction and got grade number 1. So it affected them more than us. But when they saw that now things were bad, then they started using dogs. And without any form of a weapon, we managed to kill a dog on the day. Then, funny enough, as they were attacking us, the group that was there already in Vilakazi Street, behind them there was another group of students that was coming. So they thought we were sandwiching them. God again with us. And then the next thing that happened is that's when they started moving inside, right in the middle of the marchers, using live bullets. That is when many of our young people lost their lives.
A witness of what is dated as one of the biggest march ever, Sam Zima walked the SABC team to his unforgettable memories of June 16, 1976.
I saw a little boy falling down on the ground. I dashed for the picture to go and get the picture there. It was under the shower of bullets. Police were shooting, just shooting to kill, not with the rubber bullets. So Hector Peterson was down. I did not know his name, but I went for him and I saw another student, Buiso Makubo. He picked Hector Peterson up his arms, and he was trying to get the nearest car to take him to the clinic. The only nearest car was our press car. So I was fortunate because when he picked Hector Peterson, the car was behind me, far behind me. He came with Hector Peterson. I kept on shooting the pictures, 6 shots. Then he got into the car. The car took him to the Peven clinic where the doctor certified him dead. When they came back to report that Hector Peterson is dead, the student retaliated. They picked up the stone and hit back to the police. So hell was loose. Everything was on hell, man. And I was there taking the pictures all the time. But immediately after I've taken that one of Hector Peterson picture, when they came back from the clinic that Hector Peterson is dead, I removed that film, I stuck it in my sock. No, I knew that the police would come and take my camera because we're not allowed to take pictures of the police action. I just felt the police holding me from the back. Then he said, "How come your name take this so?" Which means that, why you take pictures here? And they gave me a clap. He took all my cameras, opened the cameras, exposed all the films, and they ransacked my pockets to see if I'm still having some other films. I want to find that I don't have only those in the camera. And I pulled out that film, I gave to the driver to run to the World Office with it.
Sam was the only photographer present from the inception of that march.
When the other photographers came, it was late already. Hector Peterson was at the clinic.
Still recalling so vividly all the dead bodies, Sam reiterates how he was affected.
I was really traumatized. And in so much that the June 16, 1976 changed my life. Really, I couldn't have a night's sleep. Every night when I thought of these things, I was sleepless. And in so much that, this Hector Peterson picture is a picture that destroyed my future in journalism. I left journalism because of this picture. Because after I've taken this picture, one day, the following day, on the 16th of June, by 3 o'clock, there was an extra late newspaper for the world because they wanted to use these pictures of Hector Peterson. And they used that picture, about 3 o'clock was extra late. Then the following day, this picture of Hector Peterson was used by all the London newspapers. On the 18, the USA also were using these pictures.
When Sam's picture began circulating worldwide, it irked the apartheid police.
I received a call from the John Foster Square. The station commander phoned me. Say, man, here is him. I need to be coffee drink. I said, believe man. Then I told Pacey that, Pacey, I received an invitation from the John Foster Square. The station commander would like to share a cup of coffee with me there. Pacey said, what? Don't go there. If you go there, you are going to come back being a corpse. They are going to kill you there. Then the same afternoon, I received a call from John Foster, from one policeman. And he was a good friend of mine. He said, look, Sam, don't sleep at home. We are being told that we must come and arrest you at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. And indeed, I did not sleep at home. I slept at the report. They came to my place. They searched for me. They couldn't get me. And they went back to tell the station commander that we couldn't get Sam at home. And they gave them a final assignment that, look, now don't arrest Sam. Wherever I found him taking pictures, just shoot at him.
Journalism had a lot of confining rules for blacks back in the apartheid era.
Number one, you were not allowed to take pictures you must take a picture 100 meters away from a police station or 100 meters away from a magistrate office. And then you must not even show the background of the magistrate court in that picture. You must not show the police station as a background in that picture. We were not allowed to take pictures of the police in action. When the police doing their job, a black photographer was not allowed to do that. You are not allowed to interview a white person being a black journalist or a black photographer. So all those restrictions were really hindering our process in journalism.
Hindered and fearing for his life, Sam fled from Johannesburg.
That was the thing that made me to leave, because he asked me, you better choose between your job and your life. I chose my life. I left the journalism. I came here at Bushbuckridge now, where I am.
His life after his photojournalism career was still not smooth sailing.
I thought it's over. When I'm here, I'm at a high place and nobody will see me. But about 6 months later, when I was here in 1977, I've got a small business here, which is a liquor store. My wife was busy there as a chief cashier, helping me here. After I've left Johannesburg, both of us, and came here. She was a sister at Baragwanath Hospital. She was compelled to leave the hospital because I was here. And we came together here, we started a business together. Now, one morning, I was busy in the storeroom, busy packing my boxes of wine and brandies, whiskey. She came to the storeroom and said, hey, Daddy, there's some salesman here wants to see you. I went out from the storeroom, happily to receive the salesman. When I arrived at the counter there, I found 3 nice dressed gentlemen in their suit and tie. Then I asked me, wie is julle? Then he said, moenie ons vra wie is ons, vandag sal ons ken jou. Ek dink jy slim. Het jy hardloop van Soweto tot hierso? which means that you think you're clever. You ran away from Soweto and up to here. We know your whereabouts. Sit. Then they produce the appointment certificate that shows that they are police.
Sam was on house arrest.
Every weekend there was a different police who came here and sit somewhere here, drinking in the lounge or sitting in the just under the tree, watching my activities here. So I knew that I was told not to mix with people, not to have any meeting, not to sit and talk to anybody. I was only allowed to talk to my wife. So that went on about 1 year and 7 months. Then I did not see them coming to let me sign the book. Because every weekend I was signing the book, show that I'm present. Then they disappear. It's when now they were starting negotiating that Mandela must be released and all the political parties must be unbanned. When the ANC and PAC were in exile and were banned in South Africa. So my life was changed from that time, from the June 16 up to where I was now. I am now.
Although free from the apartheid systems, 41 years later, Sam still drives the story of his legacy.
The only way to pour the perfect beer, this professional barman would tell you, is into a glass tilted at exactly 45 degrees. Oh, bless you. Bless you, sir. Bless you again. Well, we'd say the perfect way to pour a beer is at this angle, straight into your mouth.
Get a 12-pack of 500ml Castle Lager cans for only $109.99 from Tops at Spar.
It is reported that Sam Nzima received no more than R100 bonus and the congratulations of his colleagues and the editors at the World newspaper for his powerful image of June 16. The photograph has been used countless ways. According to Sam, even political parties used it in the struggle against apartheid. But he says the youth of today need to wage a different struggle against issues that affect them.
There are two ways of explaining to this thing. You see, the kids of 1976, they knew what they were fighting for. Our kids of today, they are too general. They are general in the sense that and on the other side, they say the education is not good. On the other side, say fees must fall. Yes, it is the right thing to do that. Fees must fall, but they must be also committed. And changing the fees must fall is a process. It cannot be done in one time, in 1 year.
Even a cartoonist named Fiso won an award using Sam Nzima's picture of Hector Peterson, comparing the 1976 students to the ones of 2006.
To me, I was offended in the sense that it means that the 1976 students were drinking. But unfortunately, he mentioned that 1976 and 20 this year is a different type of a thing, because today they are drinking and they are smoking dacha, because a student there was smoking and one was holding a bottle of beer. It's a sign to show that our students should really consider what was happening in 1976. In 1976, our students died for this education. So they must respect the education, not to mix with liquor.
Sam also goes around schools educating pupils about first-hand knowledge of the day.
I'm going around with all these pictures, 6 pictures, showing them that the student of 1976 died. There was no rubber bullet at that time. Died. Here is a young man, Hector Peterson. His blood nourished the tree of a free education that you are fighting for now. But now, it means that you don't value what happened in 1976. If they value that, they shouldn't do what is happening now. I'm going around teaching the children of the high school and primary school as it is now. My list this June 16 is too long. June 16 was a turning point whereby was no more a bigger much than that one.
With just one picture, Sam's work made heroes out of ordinary students.
Nombulelo, the mother of Mbuyiso Makubo, she said to me, Sam, you made my son to be a very famous man, but he was not a hero because he was fighting for what everybody was fighting for. He was not the only one. And Hector Peterson, mother, and his sister Antoinette, also they told him the same story. Hector Peterson, he was not the only child who died on that day. There are so many, but they were very fortunate because my camera captured the dying of Hector Peterson.
Sam recalls some of his highlights to his famous picture.
The former president of America, Bill Clinton, invited me when he visited Hector Peterson Museum, and I went to meet him there. But the first one was his wife, Hillary Clinton. She came without her husband to meet me. She met me there, so she wanted to buy that camera, the Pentax camera, which I took the picture of Hector Peterson with that camera. And Winnie Mandela said, no, this property of South Africa cannot be taken to America. It must remain here. She went back to America. She told her husband that he must visit South Africa. When Bill Clinton came, he also invited me. When I met Bill Clinton, I'm having his picture there, you can see him there. He told me that, look, Sam, did you know that the picture of Hector Peterson is enlarged and it's bigger than you? It's hanging at the United Nations High Commission at New York office. I said, no, I did not know that. I said, yes, this picture is very, very important in America. And then, to show that this picture is very important, in Germany, the Berlin city, there is a school called Hector Peterson High School. In 2010, I was invited to go and address the student at the Hector Peterson High School. It's because of this picture. The MEC for Public Works, she told the meeting here that after this third road has been completed, it will be named Sam Zima Drive. Sam Zima Road, yes. And then the use of SASCO, they had the proposal that a road that starts from White River, R40, going to Bushbuck Ridge, they wanted that road to be named after me.
Sam's family also takes pride in him.
I've left a mark. The legacy that I've made, it will never come to an end. It will be there forever. It's a history in South Africa. It has gone to the history of the books of South Africa's struggle. My family is very happy.
He still campaigns for education.
Having no education, you are nothing on earth. And they must stop these things when they complete grade 12 or matric in the old term. They think they are educated, they are not. They must have a course of a professional job, a professional course that I'm taking this line, I'm taking this line. But having matric only, you are not a professional person. You must have a degree or go to the technicon. You learn something that will be your reference.
Robots, automation, and artificial intelligence are becoming an increasingly important part of our lives.
We love the term disruptive technologies.
Parents and caregivers are taking part in Facebook.
On Network, we give you Africa's technology and social media news.
My favorite piece of technology is the microwave.
The reason why I can't live without my cell phone is because I do everything on my cell phone.
For all your technology news, catch Network with Spumelele Zondi on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m.
This year marks the 41st anniversary of the 1976 June 16 uprising. And for Sam Nzima, the month of June is a time to recollect a painful history. To ease his pain of the killings of school children in 1976, he created a photo gallery which he opens only once a year.
This is the place.
Yeah, this is the place.
Thank you.
Yeah. Come, everybody come.
Okay.
Let me just move
Dust around.
Dust around here. Yes. Yeah. For you to come in and have a look at all these pictures I've got for June 16, 1976.
Sam Nzima's image of the 1976 students' uprising helped to expose the brutality of the apartheid police force. It also ignited students and youth activism in the townships.
We are continuing your struggle for a better life.
Running battles never before seen at Wits University.
Many years ago, when you were just young like us, you stood up and fought against an unjust system.
I don't know what did we do that was that worse to deserve a bullet instead of a book.
Absolute chaos. Is the police, Nyala, trying to push?
Today we demand a free and decolonized education because you have raised us that way. But we are living in a society where a broken window gets more attention than an injured black child who was burned by a stun grenade exploding in her face while running to safety. We are living in a society where poverty leads a black man to delve deep in the darkness of 1,000 kilometers from home to provide for a better life for his family, only to die nameless or to be arrested like a criminal.
The youth of a democratic South Africa are also fighting their own battles when it comes to their education. The tradition of students' activism in South Africa has been a birth of contemporary student-based political movements, including the hashtag Rhodes Must Fall, Fees Must Fall, and the broader demand for transformation. But what lessons have today's students learned from the 1976 generation?
Hi, Moral! Hi, Moral! Hi, Moral! Hi, Discipline!
The first thing that I've learned from them is that courage. It's easy to say I believe in a cause. This is something that I really want to do. But it's a different thing to actually put your life in the line for it. And as much as people may not realize, but there were many times in Fees Must Fall where we did put our lives on the line. You know, when we blocked the gates and we had cars almost run over us, when police opened fire, when there was, stun grenades, etc., etc. So it forces you to take strength from them, right? And to learn that when you truly believe in something, it doesn't matter how many times they shoot at you. It doesn't matter how many times you get tear gassed. None of that matters. All that matters is that you don't give up. So for me, that's the biggest lesson that I've learned from them.
According to Hassan, there are similarities between the Fees Must Fall and the June 16 uprising.
One of which is that in '76, it was also a decolonization project. The rejection of Afrikaans as a medium of instruction was saying that we're going to reclaim our space in education, and actually we're going to be taught in a language that we're comfortable with. And that's very similar to what we've seen at the University of Pretoria, at Stellenbosch, at all of these, at UFS, at these institutions where Afrikaans remains the medium of instruction. But it's also about saying that the education that we're getting as young people is not enough. So Fees Must Fall, while it is most certainly about the fight for free education, it's also about saying we need to re-envision education as a whole. Are we actually teaching young people what they need to know? Are we really matching our skills scarcity to what we're teaching society, right? So that's why we say it's not just about the financial element, it's about so much more than that. That's why when we talk about free, quality, decolonized education. So yeah, there are some similarities, there are some differences, but you're quite right that we have built on what our leaders fought for.
Seth Mazibuko was a student leader in 1976. He says some of the victories of the June 16 march are hard to be celebrated.
Very little has changed from the time when we were fighting in 1976. I feel like we have sold out these kids. I feel like we've sold out students today. If we, as leaders of 1976, stood up firmly and said, no, some other things must happen this way. If we have not disappeared somewhere, or even maybe suppressed and oppressed somewhere, maybe we would have not had struggles such as Fees Must Fall. Because whatever they're fighting for is exactly what decolonization, for instance, of education. It saddens me that a child can read and know who the warp dromadaries and Rekhe in 1652, but not know Hector Peterson, Hastings Ndlovu, Mbuyisa Makhubu in Soweto. Would never know about that.
Mazibuko says he is pained that students have to wage fights to get better education in a democratic South Africa.
We have done, as black parents, we've done very little to protect our children in this Fees Must Fall struggle. We have done very little, if anything at all. When, whites, and for that matter, Boers, went to protect their children in the University of Pretoria, where were we as black parents? They beat up our kids. They did. Where were we? And the issue of Fees Must Fall is not an issue, but a campus issue. It's a community issue. It goes to the community. It's a worker struggle. It tells with the frustrations of the poor. And so these kids are not talking about something out there hanging. These kids are talking about something that has got to do with us as parents. Actually, they're fighting a struggle. Because the fees that must fall are fees that come from our pockets. Are fees that, even if Blade wants to actually offer those fees in NSFAS, it's still our tax. Understand that. So they're not doing us a favor.
June 16 continues to be a great reminder to those who fought and to those who continue to fight.
That was a story produced by our producer Nombuso Mahlangu last year to honor the legendary Sam Zema. What an honor to have been able to share his story on our show. May his legacy continue to inspire many to stand up and fight for a right cause. And with that, we conclude our show today. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.